Hey, welcome to the Wealth Seed, episode 19. We are here today. We're going to be talking about checkpoints for evaluating your finances, right? Look, this is the time of the year where people are kind of, reflecting on the year and making preparations for the new year. And so we need to be doing this in our finances as well. We will do it in other areas of our lives, but for whatever reason, we don't seem to think that we need to do so in our finances. So I'm going to share with you today 5 simple things that you can do. And note that I'm saying simple, not always saying easy, but simple things that you can do to sit down and evaluate where you are in your finances so you can determine specifically where you want to go in the next year, right? So many times people are talking about their vision boards, and they may have an area for finances or their goals and stuff, but the goals are not specific. And they're not specific because in order to know where you're going, you got to know where you're coming from, right? So we're going to talk about it. So let me introduce myself for those of you who have, this may be your first time following me. My name is Lexi Johnson. I'm an international speaker. I am a licensed financial coach and consultant. I am the CSO, Chief Serving Officer of Money Mastery for Her Enterprises, where we are helping women entrepreneurs to master their money, right? To take control, master their money, and to create wealth so that they can advance the kingdom of God. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, that's the reason that I'm doing this. People are always talking about, oh, I don't have money to do the things that I would, that God is calling me to do, or whatever the case may be, or I'm not focused on that because I got debt and I got this and I got that. So over here, we're going to eliminate all of that, right? So that we can go about as kingdom citizens advancing the kingdom. All right. Well, as usual, I have a crazy money story for you all, and then we'll get into our main topic of the day. So, this one was pretty interesting, and we may do a couple of weeks of this, maybe 2 or 3. But this was about like the weirdest currencies in the world, the weirdest currencies in the world. And the one that I'm going to share, most of them I think that I'll be sharing are not currencies that are what we see today, but currencies that may have been used in the past. And so one that I want to share with you today was, did you know that there were wooden bills? Wooden, Wooden. That's right, wooden bills. Google it. Okay, wooden bills. My goodness, they say it might have been rough on the wallet, right? Can you imagine carrying around wooden bills? Like, how would that work? Right? I mean, I'm sure we found like a little satchel. They found a little satchel or whatever to carry it in, but very interesting. Okay, so this was one of the ingenious ways they said that the Germans devised to rebuild their economy following World War One. All right, and when the war settlement left the German economy, um, it left the economy in shambles, right? And so it says local townships took to printing not gelled. NOTGELD. I guess that's how you pronounce it, right? Or in other words, emergency money. Okay. So everything from wood to aluminum foil to silk linens, even playing cards. This is crazy. Was a local form of payment. Okay, until their the Rice Bank. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not. I am not a expert in German words and how to pronounce them, but until that particular bank, maybe it was their central bank, until it had recovered. So they were again using things like wood, aluminum, silk linen, playing cards. I guess anything they could get their hands on to create currency. Isn't that absolutely crazy? And so you have collectors now that are collecting some of these odd currencies in the world. And so there is a gentleman, his, by the last name of Doty or Dottie, not sure, Doty. But he is one of these people who's collecting these weird currencies. So that's absolutely crazy. I never knew that. Did you know that? If you did, let me know in the comments, right? Did you know there was wooden wooden bills? This was in Germany. So anyway, that's today's crazy money story. Let's get into our topic for the day, which is I'm going to give you 5 simple checkpoints for you to evaluate your finances. Like I said, this is the time of the year where we spend evaluating, reflecting, preparing for the new year. And so we need to do the same in our finances. All right. So I'm going to give these to you. They are not necessarily in any particular order, except for the last one is actually the last thing you will do. And as we go along, you will see why. Okay. All right. So first of all, I want to know from you, if you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching the replay, I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you intentionally and thoroughly sit down at this time of the year and evaluate your finances. Put a 1 in the chat, right? And now I'm going to go through these 5 checkpoints because I want you to see if this is something that is part of your process when you evaluate. If not, it should be, okay? It should be part of your process. So, one of the things that I always inform my clients to do is they should be doing this quarterly, but definitely, at the end of the year, hey, you want to look at how you have been spending, what's coming in, what's going out. So take about 6 months, go back 6 months of your bank statements. Okay. So from June to December or July to December, whatever 6 months is, right? And evaluate those bank statements. Okay. Look at what came in, look at what went out. All right. And then you want to evaluate your spending. So you may even look at the various, well, not you may, you should look at various different categories. Like, what did you spend on, like, groceries? What did you spend on eating out? What did you spend on entertainment? What did you spend on other discretionary stuff like hair and nails and all of those types of things, right? What did you spend on giving? What did you put towards investments? Like, look at these various different categories and see what you spent, right? And then the other thing that you want to look at is, okay, what are my values? Right now, if you've watched me before, you have heard me say this numerous times that you should have already written down, 5 to 10 of things that you value. Okay. And you want to make sure that your spending, okay, is in alignment with your values. That's right. Over here at MM4H, we practice value-based spending. Okay. So if you say you value professional development, then your spending should reflect that. If you value time with family, spending time with family, and not that you always have to spend money, but in some way, your spending should reflect that. If you say that you value giving, you love to give, then your spending should reflect the things that you value. Okay. So let's go over those again. And then I've got one more thing to add before we go to the next one. So this is number 1. We're going to reevaluate our spending over the last 6 months. What came in versus what went out. So number 1, you can see and tell, okay, am I spending more than I actually that I'm actually bringing in, which a lot of us will do, and we don't even realize we're doing it, right? Because we are, just using the credit cards, or we're, whatever. So look at what's coming in versus what's going out, right? And then what are your values? Okay. And is your spending in alignment with your values? And then the other thing is, especially if you have worked with me in any capacity, you know that we sat down and we worked out your allocations. Now, a general allocation, some of you, your allocations may end up being different, but a general allocation is that 70, 10, 10, 10, right? 70% towards your, the things that you need and your bill, mortgage, car notes, those kind of things that, have must haves, right? And then 10% discretionary, which is your wants, things not that we need it, is the things that we want, right? And then 10% towards charity, and then another 10% for what I call your profit account. This is where you pay yourself first. And no, this is not money that you, again, take and just spend willy nilly. No, this is money that you use to invest. Okay. So you want to sit down and look at how you've done in staying within those allocations throughout the year, or at least those 6 months of statements that you have pulled. Okay. So that's what you're going to do with those statements. That's number one. Pull the last 6 months of statements and evaluate for those things. The next thing that you want to take a look at, number two, is your net worth. Lexi, why do I need to take a look at my net worth? Well, as a kingdom citizen, we are expected to leave an inheritance for our children's children. Okay. And so we don't know whether we're leaving anything or not if we are not keeping track of our net worth. Okay. And you might say, well, it's nothing to keep track of. Okay. I don't own anything. My stuff is in the negative. Well, it's good to know how far in the negative you are. It's good to know that amount, even so that you can begin to track and say, okay, I need to increase this. Right. And now that you're open to it and you're tracking it, your mind is going to start to reflect on how can you do this. And now your mind is going to be open to opportunities that you will hear about increasing your net worth. Okay, so that is so important. And if you want to know how you calculate net worth, it's simply your assets minus your liabilities. Okay, so assets are things that you own. Okay, things that you own outright, not things that you're making payments on, because if you're still making a payment on it, and I don't care if it's a house that you've purchased, you do not own it. Okay, so assets are things that you own, free and clear. House, cars, and they don't have to just be things like that. It can also be your 401k, your IRA, or any other types of investments that you may have. Those things are assets. Okay, then your liabilities. Okay, so that is your debt. Do you have credit card debt? Do you have student loan debt? Do you have car notes, house notes, any other types of personal loans, collections? All of those things will be considered your liabilities. So you take your assets minus your liabilities, and it's going to give you your net worth. Now, what we're striving for, obviously, is to have way more assets, right? When we subtract those liabilities, like we still got some stuff. We are still worth more. Okay. We still have net worth, right? Now, you can set a goal for, and we'll talk about setting goals last, but you can set a goal for what your net worth, you would want your net worth to be. And that's very important. When you start looking at these things and tracking these things, then you're going to start thinking about how to get that accomplished. And then prayerfully, what happens is that your behavior follows and you start to, realize that goal. But we're going to talk about goals in a moment. All right. So that's net worth. Number 3, you want to look at your debt to income ratio. Okay. So again, how much debt am per month? So what's my income per month versus debt, okay, that I'm paying per month? And most will say, hey, you want to be like 30% or lower. I say you should strive to be 20% or lower. Okay. because the more debt that you're saddled with, the less freedom you have to do stuff, period. Okay. People are going to come, your friends are going to come and say, hey, we're going to do this trip to, I don't know, Cancun or to Paris or Greece or whatever, right? And you're going to be like, I can't because I'm just saddled with all this debt, right? So you want to keep track of your debt to income ratio. And it's not just important for, being free to do stuff like traveling, but it's also important if you are looking to purchase a home, if you're looking to purchase a car, like those big purchases where you may have to finance those things, then debt to income ratio is super important. Creditors are definitely going to be looking at that because if your debt to income ratio is high, they're going to be like, okay? They're not going to allow you to. And then if they do approve you, trust is going to be at a very high interest rate, which boggles my mind because it's like the people who can't afford the high interest rates are the ones getting stuck with the high interest rates. It's the craziest thing, but that's how it works, right? So that's number 3. All right. Number 4, once again, if you have sat and listened to my teaching for a long period of time, I talk about 3 storehouses, okay? And the importance of having those storehouses in place. So storehouse number 1 is your income replacement, which is life insurance. If something were to happen to you, okay, and you have dependents, you have a spouse that depend on that income, what have you put in place to make sure that that income is replaced, especially if you are not financially free and you've got debt and all of these things? What happens to your family after you are gone, right? So make sure that you have life insurance, number 1. Number 2, you want to make sure that you have the right kind. And number 3, you want to make sure you have the right amount. That's storehouse number 1. Storehouse number 2 is your emergency fund and your opportunity fund. Okay. So first, if we had to put those in order, it's just as I've said, your emergency fund is first. You want to be putting aside money to make sure that if any emergencies come up, if you get laid off, we have another quarantine, time and work was shut down and all kinds of things, happened that really impacted people's income. These are the types of things you want to make sure that you have monies set aside for that. If your tires go flat, if your furnace goes out, your transmission goes out, all of these, different types of emergencies, the refrigerator goes out, right? All of these emergencies, you want to plan for them. Like, see, how do I plan for it? We don't plan for an emergency. Yes, you can, by actually just having this money set aside. It's a certain amount of money every month that you're putting aside into your emergency fund when these things come up. You don't have to be taking out of your current income that is to provide for, the day-to-day bills and groceries and all of that stuff, right? There's no impact on those things. So emergency fund, you need to know how much, okay? And I say at minimum, you should have 6 months of emergency put away. At most, 9 months, okay? So whatever that works out to be, it's 6 to 9 months of your expenses. So what are your expenses every month? 6 months of that, 6 to 9 months of that, you should have put up in an emergency fund, okay? And there are probably certain places that you want to have that versus just have it sitting in the bank because it doesn't grow any interest. It doesn't keep up with inflation. But that's for another day. All right. So emergency fund. Do you have one? If not, you need to start one and start putting money aside. Okay. And then the opportunity fund. This is still part of storehouse number 2. So what is the opportunity fund? Well, this is when you hear of some great opportunities that come your way. Opportunities to do what? Opportunities to invest. Invest in what? Invest in yourself. Invest in paper assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, all of those things. Invest in alternative assets, maybe crypto, Forex, art, whatever. Real estate, okay? You want to put aside money so that when these opportunities come your way, you're not sitting there like, man, that sounds so good. I wish I had, right? You want to put monies aside for that. So that's storehouse number 2, emergency fund, opportunity fund. Storehouse number 3 is retirement and other investments, right? So where are you with that? Are you on track? Do you even have a retirement account, right? Some people just don't even have one, and some of you are like 40 and 50 years old and you don't even have anything set aside for retirement. And so if you don't do something, and soon you're going to find that you're going to work until you die, right? And I don't know about you, but I ain't living that life. Okay? I'm not working till I die. I'm going to decide when I retire, right? I'm going to have options, right? And I want the same for you. So, retirement, do you have one? Are you on track? Okay? On track. How do I know if I'm on track or not? You need to know what your financial independence number is. Well, what's that, Lexi? Oh, sounds like you need to be in my inbox asking me for some time on my calendar so that we can figure those things out, right? All right. So, is your retirement in place? And then what other investments do you have to help you create wealth? Okay. All right. So, those are 4 things so far. We're coming to the 5th. So the first was pulling your bank statements at least 6 months back, okay, evaluating those statements. And I told you how to do that. Second was, what is your net worth? Third, your debt to income ratio. Fourth, we talked about, your storehouses, the 3 storehouses, life insurance. Storehouse number 2, emergency opportunity fund. Storehouse number 3, your retirement and other investments, right? And you really should, once you evaluate where you are, you should really sit down with a financial professional so they can help you determine exactly how much you need to have in each one of these things. Now, the 5th one and final one is setting financial goals. This is so extremely important, but it cannot be done in the most effective way if you've not done the first 4 things that I've talked about, okay? But if you've done those things, now you can sit down and write effective goals, financial goals, right? We write goals for other areas of our life, our education, our relationships, all this other stuff. But we don't sit down and we write nothing about financial goals. We just out here willy-nilly in it, right? And there is this saying that actually came from Alice in Wonderland, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, by Lewis Carroll. And it says that one day Alice came to a fork in the road and saw a Cheshire cat in a tree. Which road do I take? She asked. She was asking the Cheshire cat, of course. And the cat's response was a question. He says, well, where do you want to go? And she replied, I don't know. And the cat said, well, then it doesn't matter, right? If you don't know where you want to go, it's not going to matter which road you take. You're going to be sitting there asking, well, should I do A or should I do B? And and my question to you, if you come and you have some time with me, my question to you is going to be, well, where are you trying to go? What are you trying to do? And if you're like, well, I don't know, I don't really have any, I'm going to tell you, well, then it doesn't matter if you do A or B. And that's unfortunate. Okay. So you want to set financial goals, good financial goals. And so it's not enough to say, I want to purchase rental property. It's not enough to say that. Okay. By when do you want to purchase the rental property? What price range are you looking for the rental property in? What area or state or, locate where do you want this rental property? How much uh income do you want it to generate for you month to month? Okay, so it needs to be very, very specific, because the more specific that you are, then you can develop a good strategy to get there, or the financial professional that you hire, which I'm for hire, the financial professional that you hire can best help you. A lot of times people complain about their financial professionals, whether it's advisors, coaches, consultants, whatever they may be. A lot of times people complain and say, well, they're not really helping me. And the truth of the matter is they can't help you because you have no idea where you want to go. I mean, it's like asking somebody for directions and they're like, okay, well, where are you trying to go? And you're like, I don't know. And they're like, well, how the heck I'm supposed to give you some direction if you don't know where you're going? Okay. So don't be that person. Don't be that person. All right. So those are the 5 checkpoints, okay, that you should take some time this month to sit down and go through and prepare for the upcoming year. And then this way, December next year, you can sit down and you can go back and say, okay, when I started in January, I had a net worth of XYZ. And now it's December. And oh wow, I see that my net worth has grown to ABC. Okay. That's what you want to be able to do with your finances. Look, when I started in January 2023, my debt to income ratio was 40%. Now, at the end of 2023, December, my debt to ratio income is at 20%, right? Because you have been intentional about, seeing where you were, keeping track, right? So that you can make that progress and hiring a professional to assist you. Because listen, your best thinking has gotten you to where you are right now. Your best thinking has gotten you to where you are right now. Okay. And so your best thinking ain't going to take you any further because you got to learn some more stuff. Okay. So either you can choose to go get on the internet, try to learn all this stuff on your own. Good luck. Okay. So much information out there. Way too much information out there. Some of it is good info. Some of it is not so good info, but you could take that route and it's going to take you a long time to figure out what's right, what's not right. What are you looking for anyway, if you don't even know what you're looking for, right? So good luck with that. Others of you who want to minimize your mistakes and you want to collapse those time frames, then get on my calendar. Okay. The link is going to be in the description. Hope you've enjoyed what we have for you today. And so let's just talk about now what's coming up, what's upcoming, right? So we still have our holiday sale going on, 30% off of all of our merch. Link is in the description. We've got 30% off all of our, if you have ever had a desire to do a show or do a podcast and you want global reach, 30% all off 30% off of all of our Legacy TV smart TV network packages. Okay. Link is in the comments for that. What else is upcoming? Hey, join my private group, Money Mastery for Her. Link is also in the group. And you want to do that before January 3rd of 2023. Why? Because after January 23rd is going to be a subscription fee to join the group. Now, it's not going to be anything exorbitant, but there will be a fee. And so why not get in while there is no fee, right? If you don't have to pay nothing right now, get in now, okay? Because come January 3rd, there's going to be a monthly subscription. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm really just looking for the serious people who want to create wealth. I don't want people who just, is here like flies in a wall, just trying to hear what's going on, but they're really not trying to do anything to change their behavior financially. And they're really not trying to create wealth to impact the kingdom of God and to make sure that they leave a legacy for generations to come, right? So there has to be some skin in the game. So therefore, the subscription, right? So that's upcoming. And I'm still going to be, if you're on my email list, you will very, very soon be hearing from me about a Zoom meeting to share with you the new services that are coming out in 2023 for Money Mastery for Her. enterprises. All right. Well, I thank you for joining me. Hope that you have gotten something from today's episode. We'll be back next week with another crazy money story and, of course, more content to help you create wealth. Why? So that you can go out and you can impact the kingdom of God. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.